Okay, before this video starts, I have a Twitch channel. Yeah, it's a bit of a work in progress, but we're getting there. I will be live streaming from there from time to time, so yeah, go check it out at Not First Thermal, because apparently I'm not the first thermal to have graced the site. And yeah, if you did like the Dimension Survival series, then I might be streaming that from there if you want. But on to the video. Alright, so in today's video we're kind of continuing the 1.16 theme, and we're going to be reviewing some update ideas that other YouTubers put forward for the 1.16 update. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they think and whether I agree with them. Our first video is from Grian, and he released this in December of 2019, before the first snapshots for the update had even dropped. And what he has for us is 5 of his own ideas for the Nether update. And funnily enough, his first idea was ruined portals. So yeah, great, they got added. Although I think the fact that Mojang added a loot chest to them and some gold blocks makes them more useful. Then he goes on to the idea of some kind of piglin habitation in the Crimson Forest. And although we do now know that the structure associated with the piglins is the Bastion Remnant, I think it would be still nice to have a smaller scale structure for them to live in. Because, I don't know, it's kind of weird for them to just be nomadic and just wandering around the Crimson Forest. Now, Grian's third idea is Brimstone, a lava sponge. And yeah, I can back this one. It is incredibly tedious to remove the lava lakes in the Nether. The only method you can use is dropping sand or gravel down, which takes, well, forever. But before we go any further, it's probably good to realise that Mojang doesn't seem to want some kind of symmetry between lava and water. By which I mean, they don't implement features on the argument that if water behaves this way, then surely lava would. And that's the argument used by many update ideas I've actually seen out there. For example, lava boats. People seem to argue that if we have boats for water, then surely we should have boats for lava. And we kind of got that with the Strider. But also I've seen people saying, well, we've got Frostwalker for water, so how about Basalt Walker for lava and stuff like that. But Mojang doesn't seem to be going in that direction, so just because we have a sponge for water probably doesn't mean we'll be getting a sponge for lava. Nevertheless, good idea, on to the next one. So Grian's fourth idea is a way of obtaining brimstone, which is the lava temple, which he says is the lava equivalent of the ocean monument. But then again, going into the whole symmetry argument, Mojang probably don't want to make the lava seas of the Nether a mirror image of the water seas in the overworld. But I still do think he's onto something here, because I think it would be quite cool if there was some kind of exploration to be done in the lava seas of the Nether. That would be pretty cool. He also mentions lava visibility improvements, and on that I disagree. I mean, it's lava. I actually really like what Mojang did with this. Instead of making a separate lava visibility effect, they just added a minor buff to visibility that comes with the fire resistance potion. And I think that's a really good way of adding it, but in a more limited way. And finally, we have Grian's favourite, the geyser jump pads. These are blocks that, if you unwittingly tread on them, they launch you up into the air and deal quite a lot of damage. They honestly look like just such a fun block with so many uses. I also think they'd really fit in at the basalt deltas if they just went off randomly. It'd make the place feel a lot more volcanic. So yeah, those were my opinions on Grian's update ideas. But before we leave Grian entirely, I want to point out something from one of his other videos. And it's this one. It's a bit of a blast from the past. It's his Minecraft 5 structure ideas. And I just want to focus on this one feature which is relevant to the video, which is his ghast hive suggestion. Now, the ghast hive is a place where lots of ghasts will spawn, and you may even find ghast larvae there. Maybe a bit of an origin story for the ghast there. Grian says he isn't sure about what the reward should be from raiding this hive, but I think somehow you should be able to obtain the ability to actually throw the ghast fireballs. Now, probably only in some kind of heavily nerfed way, but I think it's quite relevant to smashing through netherrack to get to ancient debris, kind of similar to the TNT mining tactic. Our next video is from Cubfan, who, if you don't know him, is a member of the Hermitcraft server. And if you don't know what that is, then never mind. Like Korean's video, he's got 5 ideas for the Nether update. And he starts off with a very popular lava boat idea. His take on it is that they should be made of netherite. But I mean, like, that's either a full set of armor plus 1 ingot left over, or a boat that goes on lava. But anyway, we don't need to get hung up on the details here, because I mean, we got our lava boat in the form of the Strider. Whilst talking about the lava boat though, Cubfan does make the good point that the lava oceans need a bit more content. So it seems like we've got a recurring theme here. Cubfan's second idea regards waterlogging doors and adding lava logging. But what I want to focus on are his third, fourth and fifth ideas, which all kind of follow the same vein. And the key update suggestion here is warped warts. Now, these would be the blue warped equivalents to the red nether warts. And the argument goes that since you've got nether wart blocks that you can craft from nether wart, surely you should be able to craft the warped wart blocks from warped nether wart. Cubfan's first suggestion for this new warp type is new potion brewing options. I'm not quite sure where you could go with this. I mean, the effects we already have in Minecraft seem to cover most bases like fire resistance, leaping, swiftness. He also mentions adding brewing options to the thick and mundane potions. But I think the purpose of these potions is more along the lines of, you idiot, you brewed the wrong potion. But the thing I actually really like about the idea of a warped nether warts is that you can make blue nether brick. Cubfan suggests the blue equivalent to the red nether bricks, and honestly, they look really cool. And that dark blue texture is actually something that's missing in Minecraft. We don't have a really dark blue block. So yeah, that would be cool. But he then goes on to suggest that fortresses could even be colour coded based on what biome they're in. So fortresses that are in Crimson Forests would have red nether brick, and fortresses generating in warped forests would be made of warped nether brick. And as I've said in my last 1.16 update video, fortresses really need an update. And I think this is a step in the right direction, although I would want more updates to the nether fortress than just a colour change. Alright, so next up we have System Z, whose channel now revolves around Minecraft updates, so I won't be able to review all of his ideas. I gotta say though, his ideas are pretty wacky, and there's not much that I think would genuinely fit into vanilla Minecraft, even though the Nether update does look kinda modded. But I do agree with him on quite a few things. He does mention that Nether fortresses need an update, and that there should be more content related to the Wither. It's also funny to see that he thinks blue nether brick should be a thing, and I know that YouTubers don't come up with ideas entirely independently, but it's kind of cool to see like common opinions between all of the YouTubers that we've seen so far. And I think these opinions reflect the wider Minecraft community in general, and I think Mojang should listen to them, because we haven't got blue nether bricks, we haven't got better nether fortresses, and we haven't got a lava lake content update. But anyway, I have noticed that System Z tends to suggest quite a lot of mob ideas, whether that's a blaze boss, a wither skeleton horse, or a chest monster. And I'm just gonna go out and say new mob ideas are completely pointless. Like, there's so much variety to choose from, and there is no scarcity of ideas. Mojang is not struggling to come up with new mob ideas. I mean, in some sense I would argue that they're adding too many mobs to the game. But we move on from System Z to Mumbo Jumbo, and he starts off the proceedings with the oh so controversial piston push limit. He's suggesting a new netherite piston that can push up to maybe 24 blocks instead of the usual 12. And yeah, I know netherite's expensive and it's a challenge, but when you're in the endgame phase, getting a lot of netherite won't be too much of an issue. So basically he's just asking for an extension to the piston push limit. And well, we all know Mojang's stance on this. They see the 12 block push limit as a challenge to be overcome. And granted, the redstone community probably know a lot more about redstone than Mojang themselves. And I'm not a redstoner myself, so can't really comment on the frustration of hitting that 12 block push limit. But I think if it's just set to a higher value, It just becomes frustrating that you can't fit in that 25th block after the new 24 block push limit. But Mumbo's next idea is netherite beacons giving buffs. It has been a pretty common opinion among the community that the type of block you make your beacon base out of should affect the beacon's properties, instead of a netherite beacon being equivalent to an iron beacon, for example. Now, Mumbo goes a bit crazy with this, suggesting that the netherite beacon could even stop mob spawning in its radius. But my personal opinion is that the material you make your beacon base out of should give you small minor buffs rather than the major buffs you get from the beacon itself, like haste and jump boost. Kind of like the way netherite works. When you upgrade to netherite, you get the advantages of stronger armor and faster tools, but with that you also get minor buffs like items being fire resistant or the netherite armor having knockback resistance. So yeah, I think the beacon base material should offer more subtle quality of life buffs. Mumbo then goes on to talk about another redstone feature, and I mean, thumbs up from me, I suppose. He also mentions lava boats, but then he suggests an alternative that gets surprisingly close to the Strider, which is the idea that you can ride hoglins through the lava lakes with a golden carrot on a stick. Moving on a little bit, we see that he's a proponent for the Frostwalker for Lava enchantment. He also suggests another enchantment, which is Nether Vision, which would reduce the amount of fog. And I mean, yeah, cool, anything to get rid of that annoying fog. But for our last YouTuber, we have Simply Sark. And what I want to look at is his video on the smithing table. Now, before we begin, just for a bit of context, on a Minecraft livestream, some of the Mojang developers actually said they had no idea what they were going to do with the smithing table. And so that kind of explains the weird nature of the smithing table as serving just the one purpose of upgrading diamond gear to netherite. And that's what Sark is critiquing in his video. But before he actually begins with this, he mentions a few other update ideas he has. One I want to point out is his idea of crying obsidian portals, and the idea that these won't link with the normal obsidian nether portals. All I think is portal linking is very finicky, and introducing a new type of portal won't really solve the problem. I do, however, think that crying obsidian should be able to be used to make portals, in the sense that you can mix it with obsidian like you find in the ruined portal structures to make still a full functioning portal. But back to the smithing table. So yeah, like I've said before, Sark points out that the smithing table feels very much incomplete. Now, his vision follows the idea that netherite isn't a tier in itself, it's just diamond with a kind of netherite skin, in a way. So what he sees as the purpose of the smithing table is a way to kind of apply cosmetic skins to your tools, like adding emeralds to a pickaxe. And this idea seems pretty far out, but I actually see something cool in it. Now, Sark seems to see these things as purely cosmetic and not actually giving any upgrades to the tools or armor. But actually I think it would be neat that if once you upgraded a tool in the smithing table, it would have a few minor buffs to it. This would be just like netherite, because that gives you minor buffs of items being fire resistance and armor having knockback resistance. So maybe if you upgrade a gold pickaxe with emerald, it might have a higher durability. Just small changes like that. But before we get carried away, it's probably good to realise that in Minecraft the game progression is so fast that you don't have any need for any extra tools beyond the normal tier system. Like an emerald gold pickaxe, who needs that when you find diamonds within 30 minutes of generating a world? So basically, I think this would require a really big slowing down in Minecraft's game progression, which I am actually an advocate of, but I think that is what would be required if such an update were to be added. Sark then has a few other ideas to wrap up his video, but then what are you talking about?
Pinata.
Okay, I do actually like his idea of joining piglins on their hunt, and the more you help them, the more your loot table chances improve when you barter with them. But I suppose that would require an overhaul of Minecraft's really dumb mob AI, because right now piglins just fight hoglins without any rhyme or reason. But anyway, that is what YouTubers think about the 1.16 update. Some suggestions were probably less serious than others, and some I agree with and some I disagree. But comment what you think about any of the ideas in this video, and I will respond. But anyway, I've been Thermal. Bye.